start the song over. I hope we're live. Wait, Mickey's still itchy. Okay, it sounds like I am. Okay, cool. I'm gonna send out. Sorry it took me a minute at all. I'm a little later than usual. I did send them. Thank you, Cornbread. Hello, welcome to Movie Crap Live on this a little later Thursday night as usual. Hello, I love that Sidram. Cornbread, Sidram, Purple Goop, Nathaniel Foga, Austin, Ratboy Mickey, I hope you're okay. Pup, K-Master. Oh, the whole gang is here. I hope you can hear me okay. Yes. Hello, let's switch things over. Hi, how's it going? Back in the classic, I guess, thing here. Hope y'all had a good week. Hope it's been good. It's been good for everybody, you know. Yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting one. And all that. Hello Zodberg. Hello M Blood T. Yeah, no one guessed the energy drink. Although I don't know, it was a weird one. Oh, hey William Ullman, how's it going? But yeah, it's been a crazy week. Sort of figuring out video stuff. Had some changes, but we'll figure those out. So I had a good streak from I guess 11 days of videos there. But yeah, you know, I don't know, trying to figure out flow wise and energy wise. So sorry about that, but I think the MF Doom thing was pretty cool. I don't know, I liked it. I might try to do some more of those remixes because they're fun to do, and most people. But yeah, is MLT leaving now? I'm really lost. Good night. That was it. Those were the questions. I don't know. But yeah, I guess the big news in New York was Zoran won, and I did vote for him. I ranked him first. And thank you, Austin. That makes me feel good. And so I was happy about that. My wife and Sophie canvassed for him, and all I really did was vote for him. But that's something, and I was really happy that it won. I thought it was not gonna. I honestly thought it might not work out, so I was a little worried, and then it did, and I was like, whoa. So I don't know, still a little in shock that I'm like, wow, I voted for something that went okay. I'm not used to this, and I'm actually happy about it too. Anyway, Jared Lindor, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure if. Anyway, got the Kevin James thing before Bloxy, which is crazy. Unless you are Bloxy under a different name or something. Anyway, Elio message retracted. What? What just happened? I don't know. Well, you did give something, I believe. Wrong account. It was okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to call it out. Anyway, we'll just all ignore that. So, I'll give you the cheers anyway. This is the thing. It is called. Oh wait, I need to actually have the thing so I can. I'm considering maybe at the end of the year I'll do every energy drink on Movie Crap Live in 2025. I think I might do that. But anyway, this is Super Fuel. I just found it. I thought that's different. I try to do different ones, and this is the blueberry. Anyway, cheers to you, whoever you are. But yeah, if you're, I think yes, Elio would have been helped by Kevin. I actually have Kevin James news tonight for once, which is interesting. But cheers to you. It was okay. It was already like this when I got it. It was all bent, but okay, I'm into it. I'm gonna put it down here so it's a little more a little more interest. But yes, I think that would have helped. Um, but yeah, the Zoran thing was amazing. I'm very happy about that. I don't know. I'm just kind of. I hope it keeps going till he's the actual mayor. That hasn't happened yet. But yeah. Emily, sorry, I accidentally entered a time tube, and my timeline suddenly went reverse. But my sickness has been cured now. Okay, I always want to scroll up when we do the questions for that, but knowing how wonderful that is when YouTube does that, wouldn't I don't know. Someone remind me of them, I guess. Sorry, I wanted to talk about. We have a little more of a looser small talk because we do not have segments tonight. It's been a sort of a weird week and having to figure some stuff out. So I didn't. I did not have time to do that this week, but we did like 2 in a row. So I kind of feel like we're good. You know, I don't know. Anyway, a couple things that I saw that I wanted to just bring up at the beginning. I rewatched Wakanda Forever for the first time since I saw it in theaters, and it was it's really interesting because I don't think you'd ever make a sequel like you would never. A studio would never be like, oh man, I can't. Somebody make me a Wakanda Forever, you know. But it's like the best they could do. Oh, I have this going and no one's done the thing. Oh my god. Sorry, this really. We'll just keep it. We'll keep it. I set that up to like test the lights and I had it going. Anyway, when we do the, you know how it works. But no, I did it because Ironheart's coming out and I had wanted an excuse to rewatch it. And I do think there's some cool stuff in there, particularly the opening where Angela Bassett's at the like whatever government conference thing, and she's talking, and then they show up with the people who tried to rob them and give them to the French. That was fucking awesome. I really like that part. The rest is like the I don't know, the main things was like. It's interesting because there's not a lot of guys in it, and I don't think anyone brings that up. It was like I think I counted like the male speaking roles who are major, and it's like M'Baku, Namor's big warrior guy, and then Martin Freeman, and I think that's like it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's never brought up a lot, but I was like, it is very female centric. I don't think it's more about like Chadwick Boseman and not how female centric it is, which I find interesting. But also, in a lot of the end fights felt more like comic book splash pages. You know what I mean? But I don't know. There's some things that are particularly the end of the end fight, how they just like resolve that. I was like, that's okay. I don't know. There's more surprise in it than I remembered, and I did like it, but it is sort of like definitely something they had to figure out in post, and then I don't know. It's such a weird vibe of the movie, but it's also a big mainstream movie, and it's like the fact that he was able to get that to work is a miracle in itself. Like that, it's like a good movie, despite everything. I think he deserves. I don't know. I sort of think that's why he sort of gets sinners, because like I don't think a lot of directors would have fallen under that. And he accomplishes a lot in that movie. It's kind of remarkable. Not maybe his worst film, but like, it's if that's his worst film, I think that's pretty good, to be honest. But that's like that looks like a lot going on. But everyone's really good, and I don't know. But I also like. I think I like Okoye. I think she's my favorite. Real Kevin James comment: cancel Elio, make. Real Kevin James comment: cancel Elio, make Mall Cop. Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you, thank you, Bloxy. Cheers to you. I don't know who that other person was. What was the other? Another thing. Oh, I finally saw. So this is like I saw this thing. So these are like not real reviews, for the most part. I think my tripod's weird. I'll fix that right after the thing there. Was it? Oh yeah, my son's really into. The The midnight. I didn't mind it the second time, but I like Okoye with the staff, and I was also like, why isn't Okoye Black Panther? I don't really understand that. I would want her to be Black Panther. I get the, you know, royalty thing, but like, wouldn't she be the better Black Panther? I just think it's like, I think that would have been a better move, if you ask me. I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, my son's really into. He likes Scooby Doo, but then he watches the Scooby Doo show, and he really likes Scooby Dum like a lot. And he always laughs at him a lot, and that's been fun. It's interesting going into the Scooby family tree, but it's fun rewatching. Anyway, I feel like this is going on too long. Let me fix my tripod. Sorry that this came together very quickly tonight, but I was wondering at what time did they have a son? What are you talking about? I'm confused, Nathaniel Foga. Oh, yes, I think okay, sorry, it took me a minute. To my understanding, how it was supposed to work is she was, because it was supposed to be originally it had Chadwick Boseman lived. It was about him and his son, and he missed because of the time skip, which I think is like 5 years or something. She was pregnant before, and then he disappeared because of the whole thing with Thanos stuff, and then she gave birth and went away to Haiti. But I think in the Wakanda Forever, they changed it. The movie that actually happened, they changed it to that it was a mutual decision, and then she went off to Haiti, and sort of he was aware of it, but no one ever found out, kind of thing, I guess. But yeah, it's like I believe it's before the time skip. They at least she became pregnant. Anyway, no, Scooby Doo. Thank you, Javier Bartello, for reminding me of that quote. But yes, okay, yeah, Cornbread says it well. All right, let me just check this tripod. Sorry, one man show here, and then we'll just get into the main thing. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I know it's a very minor thing, but it bothered me, and I'm gonna change this a little. Okay, all right. I feel better. Okay, sorry. Let's move. I also watched How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, but let's just get into this because there was some big stuff, and I really want to get into that. I expect them to make everybody black. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting who actually takes that role because they are looking for somebody, and I am curious. And from my understanding, no one would say who turned it down, but I think Aaron Pierre turned it down. But it's like, would you want to follow Chadwick Boseman? I don't think that's a good idea. That's because people are like, they should get a new person. I'm like, do you want to be that person? I don't think anybody wants to be that person because you're going to get compared. Like, you have to really. I don't know. I'm really curious what Black Panther 3 would even be. And I know that's after he gets X-Files gone, what he's doing. But there's no release date, so who knows. Anyway, all right. This and everything I do is supported by you, the fans, either through my Discord. Okay, let's start over. I didn't do that. Okay. Hello, Jordan Slava. Okay. This and everything I do is supported by you, the fans, either through my Patreon, which is linked below, or if you give super chats during the show, and I will drink this amazing Super Fuel E-Boost, whatever, and which will give me more energy to keep going, and it helps me be able to do what I do. Also through the Patreon, which is linked below. I'm sorry, I'm fumbling this very badly. You get all sorts of stuff like postcards, which will mail out soon. More power in the movie review vote. There's my commentary series. You get access to my public access show, movie stuff, which I heard recently the Ryan Coogler special continues to air. I did not see it, but someone told me that, and it wasn't a person who I think would know that otherwise. So I'm just going to say that is fact, I guess. Yeah, sure. But if you want access, unless you want to sit and watch Brooklyn's Free Speech nonstop 24 hours a day, that is the only way to watch those. All sorts of cool stuff. It helps me continue to have flyers, stickers, more equipment, and continues to keep the channel going and growing if you're financially able to do so. And if you are, I very much appreciate it. Thank you very much. If not, just liking and subscribing is good, and helps everything going on. Jim, my name Jeff. I like that, roughly, Mickey. Helps me continue to do it. If you subscribe, you get all sorts of things like the community posts, find out when my instant premieres happen, everything like that. But if you don't have an account and you just watch this through whatever, thank you very much for being here. I very much appreciate it. I really do. I know I say that every week, but it's like it's nice to have a thank you to the audience and stuff like that. William Ellman, before I do the Discord, I'll do this. Rewatching 28 Days Later, I love that one shot of a field flowers that has an early digital Avid posterized effect layered on top of it in the editing timeline. That effect is very nostalgic to me. I agree with you. I learned that apparently they used a different shutter speed on a very nice camera to get that look, I read. But no, I was in film school at the time, so I know that video, because to do a film thing was very expensive and very hard, and so you'd be like, well, let's do video. I used to like doing video more because it was a lot easier, but yeah, man, 28 Days Later. I'm very, well, anyway, I have shot a review of that. It's interesting. Anyway, cheers to you, William Moment. I have a lot of nostalgia for that whole movie, but anyway, you'll see it in the review. Also, if you love the community here that is talking during the show, you should join my Discord, which is on 24 hours a day. It's a wonderful community. We had a cool, we've been having some cool discussions. I thought Zane Powers actually really killed it with we had a worst Pixar's decision, worst thing Pixar ever did, and everyone came up with all these like labor things and everything like that. And I said, wow, you guys came up with better answers than just like Cars 2 is the worst, and then Zane Powers but Cars 2 is the worst, right, guys? I thought that was very funny. Anyway, we have all sorts of cool discussions. I asked them what they want me to talk about movie crap, and they give me actually a lot of ideas I wasn't aware of. It's a really wonderful community. They do movie watching. They're doing Rocky and Bullwinkle. Oh, that's why Nathaniel Foy was asking me about that. Cornbread does his thumbnail predictions, which you'll check out later. All sorts of wonderful stuff like that. So if you like this community and like who I'm talking to, you should join it. It's totally free and wonderful. They have all sorts of stuff like Ask Jim, suggestions for Jim, movie discussions, animation discussions. You can put your art there and artist self promo. It's a really great community. It's considered one of the best in the internet. I think so, and other people have said that, and it's really cool. So you should check it out if you would like to. All right. I want to talk about a few quick things. We are going to do box office first because of Elio, and we'll go on from there. The quick things is, I did read that report about AI makes your brain mushy, so don't, I'm not going to go into it, but you don't need to, I mean, very obviously, if you are not writing the emails and you are not doing those things, the parts of your brain that do those things are going to get worse. So big shock there, but in case you were like super into AI and thought it makes you smarter, it just makes you lazier, because duh. The other things were, it has been a year since MeTV Tunes. I believe that was yesterday, so congrats to MeTV Tunes. I'm actually considering what was I gonna say? I'm actually considering maybe finally doing a review. I really wanted to wait till it had some time, and I've seen there's one other show I want to watch on there, their Popeye show, which is sort of their Fleischer Brothers show, and then I might actually film a video about how I feel about it, because I saw House of Hanna-Barbera, and that was pretty cool. I think I talked about it before. And then finally, it was Jaws 50th anniversary on Friday. I know I wore a shirt I'm just wearing this old, it's actually Chewbacca with a skateboard, but you can't even tell what it is, but it's a comfy shirt. They did a thing on NBC, and they played it, and they had an introduction for Spielberg and trivia during the commercial breaks, but it was like My kids were still up, and then once they were in bed, I was like, I don't really want to watch half of Jaws. So I didn't watch it. I heard good things about it, but it was cool. It's interesting, and we're going to talk about it in box office in a second, how horror has taken off to such a degree, because I cannot imagine Jaws getting embraced this much, like even 10 years ago. And now, I mean, I know Jaws is a classic and a big movie, but like seeing a horror movie be pushed on NBC the way it is, and like on the Today Show and on all these things, it's just like we are very much in box office horror time, which is crazy. The success it is having and so forth. But yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that if you have Peacock, someone told me you can rewatch that part or the trivia parts. I have not looked into it, but I think there's going to be other Jaws things this summer, and I would like to maybe at some point make a really big review of it, but I don't know. We'll see. Jaws wasn't lauded upon release. What is that? No, it was very much acclaimed and stuff, but I'm just saying like the amount of mainstream attention we're getting now. That's all. Oh, you should see Jaws again, Rocket Lomax, and hello, how's it going? It's always really good. Trust me. Oh, you saw Jaws in IMAX? I did not. Where did I saw Jaws? I guess I saw it on that release, but I saw it just in 3D, not in IMAX. I haven't done. If it comes out in IMAX, I've seen it twice in theaters. Once it was digital, and it was very well restored and wonderful, and then 3D. And I would see it again in theaters. Why not? All right, let's get into. I'm going to bring up the box office. I do have all my notes about the box office. But let's talk about the box office this past weekend, and mainly about Elio, but about everything that's going on, because holy crap, this was not the weekend I think we all thought it would be. First off, How to Train Your Dragon. Well, William Wellman, I would agree. Jaws is not total horror. I think it's very horror influenced. So it's like sort of one of those, but I still think it counts. It's very influenced by cat people. So to me, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I also think it's the transition point between 70s weird horror and what most people think of as 70s horror, like Halloween, stuff like that. But I would say it's more a thriller and stuff. It's not straight horror, but it is sort of, to me, it's like the transition point between Ganja and Hess and Dawn of the Dead. You know what I mean? It's like, early 70s, you make weird people smoking weed horror movies. Post Jaws, that's sort of over. I'm sure there are ones that cross those lines and so forth, but if you look at mainstream, anyway, I message me on Discord. We'll talk about that later. I will have that discussion, man. All right, so How to Train Your Dragon remained at number one this past weekend with $36 million and went down 56%, which is pretty massive, but it's still a huge box office hit, unfortunately. Is also it definitely will outgross the third one, but no one's sure if it'll outgross the second How to Train Your Dragon internationally, because that's about 600 million, and no one thinks that's possible. But it is within, which is wonderful, within the possibilities. So we'll see, but it might end up outgrossing all 3 and 1, but not the second one, which did really well. Then we can talk about 28 years later, which is crazy because Elio opened third, and 28 years later outgrossed it in less theaters and with 10 million more dollars. I don't think anyone expected 20 years later to do as well as it did, mostly because of the great word of mouth. And this was the biggest opening for Danny Boyle and the biggest opening for obviously the 28 days whatever franchise. But before I talk about Elliot, sorry, I'm sort of just, I don't want to do like one box office thing and then we come back or whatever. But like what I kind of don't get about this new 28 years later thing is I feel like it should have gone 28 days, 28 weeks, 28 months, 28 years, and then like 28 decades. I don't know, just like get weird with it. But now it's like we're just getting a trilogy of like 28 years later. I don't know, I'm not so into that. I haven't watched that movie yet, but like I feel like everyone, and then we should go back like, oh, let's do 28 minutes, 28 hours. Like, let's just like do all of them. I don't know. Stick to the concept. It's like, I don't know. It's like three of them where it's like 28 years later. I don't know. It's like kind of dumb. It's like, where's my 28 decades later? That's what I want. And my 28 months later. We just skipped ahead. We went from weeks to years. That's not how that works. That's not how that works, you know? I don't know. I just think it's like, you should stick to your thing there. But whatever. Yeah, like, do someone wrote up it should be 28 minutes and it's like a pizza guy escaping zombies, and that would have been cool. I think you can have fun with it. I think it's like a good challenge. Anyway, Elio. Let's talk about Elio. Elio had the worst opening for Pixar ever. In fact, opened worse than the original Toy Story did in 1995. That's right. You have to go back to the very first Pixar movie to have, which was a much better opening then, to find a worse opening for a Pixar movie. It opened for 28 million, or 20 million, 20 million, not 28 million. And not a great per screen average, and didn't do very well. Now, there's a lot of factors in this, and I actually do really want to talk about it because I think everyone's like, Disney didn't do the best job. I agree with that, but there's certain problems that Disney, I was actually, I remember a point I was going to make and I didn't do it. But anyway, that they've kind of messed up. First off, is that was not a good release date. It really doesn't matter when people were like, oh, I didn't really like the sequence in, or I didn't like the advertising for Elio, I wasn't into it or something. I mean, they did have, I think it's the first, I haven't read this, but to my understanding, it might be the first movie to have a Happy Meal tie-in post-COVID, where the Happy Meal tie-in is actually timed with the release of the movie. Because, like, even, like, Captain America came out, like, 6 months before, like, because McDonald's refuses to change them or something. I'm pretty sure this might be one of the first ones. And they were advertising it a lot, that Happy Meal thing and stuff like that. And there are various problems with how Disney does advertise their movies. But I do think, like, you know, you had Lilo and Stitch Memorial Day. You had How to Train Your Dragon got Father's Day. And this comes out the week after that. I think I mentioned on here that I was kind of not happy that Elio wasn't the Father's Day movie, because I sort of was hoping it was, because I think we've done that the past two Father's Day. We saw like Elemental and Inside Out 2, and this year, like, we're going to go this weekend. But I also think, in additionally, and for me, hey, Medela Butterfly, why I also think it didn't do well is, for at least in New York, that was the last weekend before school gets out, and there's a lot of social events. There's people are trying to get the last bit of birthday parties in, because you can't really do birthday parties during summer because nobody will show up. There's no social pressure and so forth. So there's a lot of like kid events that weekend, and I know not every school follows that, but I think that was a factor. And I also think, like, that's not a good weekend in June. Like, it's good for 28 years later, but not for a big movie like Elio. They probably should have put it out before or pushed it back or something, but they didn't. And so that's where it is. Now, the whole thing people keep saying about, oh, well, Disney screwed up the Pixar thing because of the Disney Plus stuff. And I'll talk about that now. My thing with that is, I think what screwed that up is not Luca and Turning Red, because at that time Omicron was happening. No one was going to take their kids to theaters. Had they insisted on putting it in theaters, I don't think they would have done well. Particularly like Encanto, which did come out in theaters, didn't really hit until it hit streaming. Then it became a massive hit around Christmas, not in theaters. So I don't actually blame Disney for that, because it's like, that was a hard situation. I know everyone's posting that, but like, I have kids. We were not going to the theater. I was not going to the theater, and I'm glad they took out that, made it so there wasn't a difficult decision we had to make, had to say no to or something like that. I actually thought that was cool. However, what I think actually hurt it is when they get back to theaters, what was the first one that came to theaters was Lightyear, the one that felt like a streaming exclusive kind of thing. I think that was the bigger mess up honestly, because it's like, hey, we're back with Lightyear. I think that hurt the brand more than anything, because like your coming back should be a big triumphant thing, and your last thing was Toy Story 4, I think was their last one in 20 no, Onward. And people were cool with that, but I just think like Lightyear was not the right message, and I think that kind of messed with audiences because they're like, oh, well, I guess I'll skip this Pixar, and I think that added to more than people really think about, because now it's like nobody remembers it, but like I just, it didn't really set a good precedent whatsoever. And I think then what was the next year was Elemental or something, and Elemental was able to come back. I don't know if Elio will, because the competition this summer is harsh. Like July is pretty crazy. I don't think families are going to the scarier Jurassic Park, but I do think Superman's going to really hurt it. And then Fantastic Four, like whatever screens they have left, are just going to be gone at that point. So it could stick around. I think it could actually cross 100 million, which I'm probably being way too optimistic about. But it's just like, and there's still rainy summer days, and there's a lot of times they could just, pick up a lot of money during the summer for a Pixar movie. I just don't think it was, the audience was pretty hit at that point. And my other thing, and I noticed this with HBO Max, is almost every ad break has a Superman ad. That's insanely smart for Max, like Warner's to do, because you almost always see, an ad. You're always aware. My son's aware of Superman. Like he really wants to see Superman. Disney Plus doesn't do that. They play like other ads. And I know people go, but what about the tiles and stuff? That's like fine. It's like something. It's not nothing. But I do think had there been an Elio ad every commercial break or every other commercial or something, there wasn't any, that would have made a big difference. And they're just not doing that. It seems like Warner's is very on it. And even when I watch Universal show or NBC, and any of their associated TV things and all that stuff, they like have Jurassic Park stuff. I do not feel that same way about Disney, and I didn't feel it about Lilo and Stitch or Elio. And they really need to start doing that, because it's like, if you have Disney Plus, like one of the reasons you sign up is probably Pixar. There's a good chance the people who pay for Disney Plus like Pixar movies. So like maybe you should be advertising to them. It's like how usually, I forgot this week, I'll say that I mentioned like videos I had done. So you, the audience, are like, oh, obviously you like watching my stuff. Will be reminded if they hadn't watched it before. That's like, if you run, make stuff, you should always mention when you're doing a thing the other things that currently came out. I didn't do that. That was stupid. But my point is that like they should be doing that. And it like when Fantastic Four comes out, which I think is the next big Disney thing, right? That's what they should be doing. And I don't think like a tile saying like, hey guys, check out all the Fantastic Four cartoons we make is not the same thing. So I think they really need to utilize their streaming stuff to advertise their actual movies coming out, instead of doing what they're presently doing, which is not working. And I do think Disney screwed up. I don't think it like they abandoned it. I think it's sort of similar to I See You, Emily, and I See You, William Moment, and it's very generous. I'll finish this and I will get to you. Sorry. I think this is similar to what happened with Princess and the Frog, and I looked at that release, what happened there, and it got kind of trounced by the Squeakquel, because they released on a weird release date and they couldn't get Thanksgiving. I think sometimes Disney has to admit that they can't save a release date with an original Pixar movie anymore, because they'll put How to Train Your Dragon, which is a remake and is going to get more people in and stuff. And they very much need to understand that, like, if you're going to do the original thing, you need to place it in the right weekend and realize like what the market is now. And I feel like they're not adapting to the market correctly, and that's why I think this happened, honestly. And it's happened with Disney before. They're not really, they're sometimes leaders in some release dates, but other times they'll get very comfortable in a certain thing and then go, oh shit, we shouldn't have kept doing that. And I think this is the same thing as Princess and the Frog. Like, they underestimated the market and they got underestimated themselves. So, all right. William Elm said, "Did you catch William Elm? Sorry, did hey, let's start over. Do you think the cash Danny Boyle saved using an iPhone with an external lens and software helped the movie be profitable, or would it have been just as successful if it had been shot with a red digital camera instead?" That is that. Sorry, that is a good question. I think that definitely helped. I think it was like only 60 or something like that. I mean, they signed a huge deal to get all three, even though they haven't approved the third one. I think that helped, and it helped with the original one. I'm sure that helped keeping your budget low. But the fact that they've already made their budget back, I thought it was 60 or 30. Let me look that up. I mean, I think it helps, especially with horror, because with horror you really want to keep your budget low. Oh, it was 60 million. Yeah, and it's made 68 worldwide, so it's profitable. So you do want that. I do think that helped probably, but I don't think as hugely as you may think. But I think like he's very good at using a budget. I mean, the thing is with Danny Boyle and the 28 Years Later or Days Later movies is like he's an experienced director making these indie movies, and I think he's a smart director in that he knows how to get that to work for him. And they like they look like they have smaller budgets than they do, because I think 20 Days Later was like something like 6 million, and you'd think it'd be even cheaper, especially even at the time. But I mean, it helped because it worked out. If it had bombed, if it made what Elio made, different story. Which, you know, if Elio was more expensive, they'd be in real trouble. Cheers to you, man. Thank you for your generosity. Okay, the Princess of Frog Avatar thing. I will say, I think the Avatar thing hurt Princess and the Frog, but having a bad release date doesn't help you. It's also the other thing that nobody brings up is Princess of the Frog came out in 2009 post the stock market collapse, after a holiday weekend during a Christmas that everyone was being very budget conscious. I just think there was like way too much against that movie. Just the financial time it was in, it didn't get thanks. It to me is like they should have moved it. Just fucking move it. You know, it's like I think a lot of these studios don't understand with their original stuff. You really need to have it hit on a certain weekend. I mean, look at Megan. Megan opened in January, became a huge hit, and now its sequel is in the summer. And I think maybe the problem with summer release dates is unless you have a good weekend like 28 Years Later did, all these 28 things, it's like kind of funny. Someone lists them all somewhere. You know, I think in summer it's really hard to launch an original thing, especially now. And there's a lot of other times in the year you can, and maybe Elio would have worked better in a March, or what were the other animated films? Like, it's like, you know, The Day the Earth Blew Up wasn't huge, or like there could have been, was there anything in March? Like, I can't think of. Illumination and DreamWorks and all those. Did DreamWorks have anything this year? I don't think they did. So it's like, you know, you could have probably put it out when also like consider. I mean, they should have known Lilo and Stitch would be pretty big, but anyway, what was I gonna say? 28 Frogs later, 28 Ted Levines later. All right. There's Dogman. You're right, but Dogman was January. So, between January and now, feels like they could have picked up a week. I mean, I guess they're worried about Minecraft then, but you could have done it in February. I feel like you could have done it. I feel like they fucked up. 28 Ted 2 weeks later. You're probably right, William Owen, about the Leeds market. All right, the other thing, I found out there is a, before I talk about the other movies, Apocalypse Now is currently doing a roadshow thing. If you don't know what a roadshow thing was, it's usually like they show you sets, you get a program of a movie. If you've never seen Apocalypse Now in theaters, and I know like having a film guy tell you to see one of the big Coppolas is annoying. But I have seen Apocalypse Now and the first Godfather like projected on film and stuff at the Senator Theater in Baltimore. I would highly recommend if you've never seen Apocalypse Now in theaters, you should do it. If you've never seen Apocalypse Now, you should do it. Check it out. If you see it playing in a theater near you, apparently it's like going from theater to theater. Go see it. It's Apocalypse Now. It's a great movie. But I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. I'm not sure how the roadshow's working. I just heard about it when looking at box office. I just thought I'd just give it a shout out. If you're a film person, it's worth doing once in your life. You will not regret seeing it, unless you really hate Apocalypse Now. But the big Coppolas in the 70s get talked about for a reason. I don't know if anyone in the chat has seen Apocalypse Now in theaters, but in my mind, it's worth it. I think it's the original cut. I would look into it. I've seen the newer cut with the French stuff, the French plantation, which I don't know. I still like. It's still good. The other thing is Lilo and Stitch is still hanging on in fourth place. Made about $9 million, which also probably did not help Elio. And then the other one is Sinners, finally left the top 10. It is still the record holder for the movie that stayed in the top 10 the longest at 9 weeks for this year. So so Sinners is still the winner presently. I think the only ones that have held on for presently the longest are Final Destination with 6 weeks, which is going to leave next week, and Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible with 5. I don't think they're going to make it. So we'll see if anything gets anywhere close, but congrats to Sinners. It presently has the record. Bring Her Back is losing theaters, so if you want to see that. And Brokeback Mountain is in theaters for 20th anniversary. So if you like that, yeah. I'm curious, would people like Happiness nowadays? I feel like that was a big indie movie in the 90s, but I don't know if it's I'm very curious how that would go over presently. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time. I used to be so into him because Welcome to the Dollhouse was a big movie for me in high school, and you can tell I was emotionally fine. Let's not worry about that. All right. It's totally cool that I watched that way too many times. There's nothing to read into there. All right. Geez, some of these, like, there's so many movies at the box office. Anyway, I would like to see that movie Pavements, but I don't know. Dogtooth got a re-release? What? I didn't know that. If you ever wonder how I view rich people, it's Dogtooth. All right, I think we're done with the box office, but I think that's just sad about Elio. I'm gonna see it this weekend. I'll have a review soon, but it's a little sad that they launched the original. But I do know Pete Docter is doing it, so it's like original sequel. But I think they need to figure out the original thing, because it's clearly like this was a dumb move in my mind. Although Gato sounds amazing, but like please figure that out before that movie. I really hope so. So, Lilo and Stitch 2. There's not much to say about this because it was just announced today, and they say it's in active development. But we are going to be going into, like, going through some of these Hollywood Reporter articles with a fine-tooth comb. They did release this news on June 26, which is 626. Get it? Because he's experiments. Stitch is 626, which also rhymes with Stitch. I don't know how. Anyway. But because the movie has made $923 million worldwide, which part of me dies inside when I think about, and it's way more than double its budget. It's a huge hit. They are trying to make another one, but so they made this announcement on. I didn't watch this video. Oh, it's gonna make noise. I don't want to get copyrighted. Anyway, they made an announcement which I never watched. I just read about. But we don't know if anyone's involved, although almost every report brings up that Chris Sanders being involved was a major get, and they need to make sure they get him again, and that they would like, all these people back, but they are actively developing a sequel to Lilo and Stitch. I think that's fairly obvious, especially because how much it cost versus how much it made, it was actually cheaper for a live action remake, believe it or not. Um, I don't know. I mean, isn't there already a direct to video one? Are they doing that? It seems like they're just kind of being like, hey, we're gonna do it, and I'm like, okay, you should announce someone. It's an empty. These are empty. And if you ever hear a movie studio announce something and there's not a director, we'll get into the Bond thing right after this. There's not a director or writer attached. It's like that to me is like not a real thing. Like you can just like that's like a bullshit thing. Like I don't actually understand why they would announce that. But I don't know. I'm also like, how do you do Lilo and Stitch 2 with the ending of Lilo and Stitch the way it is? Like, I don't. What does Nani come back and like Lilo's totally different? I'm just like, what is that movie? I don't understand. Did anyone think of that, or then they announced it and everyone's like, oh fuck, I forgot we did that. Maybe she didn't go to college yet or something. Let's just like ignore that. Maybe, I don't know. Ratboy Mickey, they should remake a bad movie and make it good. That was like a John Waters thing for a long time. I think Pete's Dragon is that, because the original, not great. All right, let's talk about the Bond director thing, because I was, for most this week, I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about the short list, and we're going to talk about how I want Paul King to direct a James Bond movie. And the whole time, and both when I looked at the short list, and almost every movie person was like, Denis Villeneuve is not getting this. Why would he want to do this? He has a Dune movie coming out that he's prepping. He's very much signed on to. He's not going to fuck that up, because he's going to supposedly the whole thing was because he's prepping Dune 3, and the idea with Dune 3 is he does the Dune movies and then he's sort of like the shepherd of the future Dune stuff. He just gets an executive producer credit and gets to like cash a check for the rest of his life, and that's why he's doing it. So like literally no one, I'm not joking about this, thought he would do it. So of course he's the one they picked. Supposedly nobody, it's supposedly, well, we don't know the order right now. All we know is he is prepping Dune 3. That is happening first. I've heard reports say maybe he won't. I'm like, no, he's like casting. So like, he's not going to fuck up the Dune Messiah thing. I think that's not going to happen. I know people want him to do the Rama thing, and I know Cleopatra and all that. That is not, all that is not happening. And this Bond movie, and most people guess it'll probably come out 2028, which I think is, even that is optimistic. But it is not coming out until probably 2028, and that's a lot of, supposedly the idea now is they're gonna pick a screenwriter. Most people think it's someone who has worked with Denis Villeneuve before. He's gonna give them whatever his pitch is, so he gets that nice little story by credit. Or whatever, I don't know. He's gonna give them what his pitch was to Amazon. That person's gonna write the script while he's shooting Dune 3, which is probably gonna take the rest of the year. And then he has post, and then eventually he'll come and help write the rest of the script, and then they're going to cast him on. So as a lot of big movie insider people have said, do not listen to Bond casting. It is not happening for maybe a year. If anyone tells you read anything about Bond casting, I would find it very speculative. Although I felt the same way about Denis Villeneuve, and now he's directing it, so we'll see. However, it was a surprise. And apparently, even people at Amazon was like, "Well, he's the most busy and he's the most expensive, so we're probably not going to do that." And then the people who approved it kept it very close and then did it, which is like really insane that they they didn't pick like all these other people who were readily available. I mean, that's like why Brad Bird didn't direct Force Awakens, because he wasn't readily available. Because Disney was like, no, we got to get this Star Wars thing out today, and they did it, and they got Abrams, and that's what they did. And that's most of the time when a studio buys a franchise, they're not going to wait around. And maybe Amazon and MGM had the smarter idea of like, what if we do wait though? Maybe that could work better. Not that Force Awakens is bad. I don't know if Brad Bird would have made a better movie or anything. I'd be curious what his take was, but Austin says Matt Berry is Bond confirmed by me right now. I wouldn't mind Matt Berry is Bond. Cheers to you, Austin. J Dog is the dude. I love that. But yeah. As for the rest of, I do actually want to talk about the short list because I'm curious about it and I thought about it a lot. So why not? 28 Cleese Fees later. Nice. So apparently, Edward Berger, who directed Conclave and All Quiet on the Western Front, was the only one who was close. That he's been considered for a while, even when the Broccoli's were involved. He seems to be. If you didn't know, and with Bond directors, is there certain people who they keep coming back to? Danny Boyle was in consideration for a long time. There's a lot of directors who do stuff like that. So I'm not surprised. That's sort of an old school thing. It seems like they're sort of keeping it semi like the Broccoli's, but not exactly because they're talking to big directors. But apparently he was close. And even Jonathan Nolan, who was one of the people mentioned, the shortlist, is Edward Berger, Denis Villeneuve, Edgar Wright, Jonathan Nolan, and Paul King. Jonathan Nolan did the Fallout show, I think, for Amazon and has a relationship with Amazon. And he was actually, they were very much considering him because they first went to Christopher Nolan and Alfonso Cuarón and both said no. But I don't know. My main thing with this is I think of the shortlist here, I think the only two I would really consider if I'm going to make my mark as Bond and not just do the same thing again or similar to it would have gone Paul King or Edgar Wright. Because Bond works in a specific way, and I do want to say this about it, is that I've seen every James Bond movie, and you really do not want your new Bond to be like your last Bond, and I do not feel that Denis Villeneuve is different enough from the Craig stuff. I don't know what his take. I'm sure he's making a Roger Moore fun Bond. I doubt that that's a thing he would do. 28 Increments of Time Later. Nice, Zodberg. I just don't see that from him. I see him doing a similar dark and gritty Bond, and I don't think we need that. I think it's like not a good look for the franchise. Like, all right, to me, it's like if he does it and they're building a franchise, we're stuck with another dark and gritty Bond for possibly 20 years or something. Or 3 movies, or, for a long time. And I think that's probably not a good idea. If I was them, I would pick a different take on Bond. So I actually thought Paul King was somebody I was most curious about because he's the weirdest choice. He's also David Heyman, works with him, who also produced the Paddington stuff. So I thought it was like, a lot of people thought he was more considered than you might go, oh, the Paddington guy. They probably heard him out more because they know him, know he works with. We also heard as well that this is kind of the shocker one that I didn't hear mention as much, is Lord Miller was supposedly heavily rumored for this. And that is also interesting. To me, it sounds like they were open to different takes. Didn't do it. But I do think, I'm also curious, like, Lord Miller would go for a franchise thing again. I feel like they're more in the create their own franchise business, not take after the Solo thing. So I was a little surprised that they were brought up. Supposedly their movie with Ryan Gosling, whatever it's called, I forget, MGM is very high on, and they are kind of just like offering them whatever. I'm looking at my notes, and I wrote before Denis Villeneuve just no. So I clearly knew what was up. I'm not in love with this. I think it's a bad move in the long run. You go for somebody different. And it is different that they didn't go for an English director. Denis Villeneuve is Canadian. But I just think it was a bad call. Because, maybe when I see the movie, I'll feel differently or know what the take is or something like that. But to me, do not do a dark, gritty kind of director. I get like you want a big prestige guy and make Bond a prestige thing and like all that stuff. And look, Denis Villeneuve blockbusters look absolutely amazing, and I am actually a little excited for how beautiful it's going to look, particularly on the IMAX and stuff. And I think that last Bond, like they didn't spend enough time on that, and if they're really gonna like realize that having amazing sequences, like I don't really watch Spectre, but I will watch that. I have watched that opening on YouTube. I don't really want to watch the rest of it. So if you have a bunch of great sequences, that it can really help your Bond movie, and I think he can do that. But I just think it's like kind of a mistake, like theory wise. Like I wouldn't like Quran is like okay, that's gonna be really different, but like Denis Villeneuve is like, is he that different from what they did with Skyfall and Spectre and No Time to Die? Like, is he really going to be like that different, or is that just like they've just decided like that's how people view the franchise now, and it's like kind of a lot more interesting than that. Like Timothy Dalton was not like Pierce Brosnan, you know, and I really want to know how it would be different, even though it's probably 2028. But it just like to me, I was like, eh, I don't know. I'm sure it'll make a good movie. I just don't see it right now. I would have gone with I really would just like to know what Paul King's take is. Edgar Wright, I think he's sort of, if it was after World's End or Hot Fuzz, I would feel differently about it. But it's just like after Last Night in Soho, I'm a little like burned on him. I just don't see, I don't know. I'm also curious what his take is. Those are the two I'd be, but you know, Edgar, I'm glad they brought him in. He's another one who I think they're like, who are the big British directors who we could bring in who would be good at this? And I understand taking a meeting with him, but I'd love to know his take, and I'd love to know Paul King's take if that ever comes out. I mean, obviously, I want Gendy to do everything, so Gendy's Bond would be. Thank you, Zara. No, I would fully. If I was at Amazon, I would be like, let's just let Gendy do everything, and you know that would be the best. You know, his Running Man movie, I think there's been a lot of rumors that is coming out this year or not, and there's no trailer, so I'm not sure what's going on with the Running Man movie and Blood Tea, to be honest with you. All right. I guess we're doing two Marvel things. Well, I did say I was going to talk about Marvel things, and I guess I will. The Marvel stuff. So we learned that in Punisher, not in Punisher, hey, not plausible. The Punisher will be in Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's John Barenthal will be in it. I think this is because, if you didn't know, Sony has a deal with Marvel where they have to have a other Marvel superhero or character. What's going on? It's not letting me. Hold on, sorry. Okay, computers, man, or just so far, just Chrome, really. If you didn't know, they have a deal where they have to have a Marvel character who's not Spider-Man edition in each of these movies. That's part of the deal. So that's why you got Iron Man in the first one. I guess Nick Fury counted in the second one, and Doctor Strange in the third one. And this one, it's going to be the Punisher. A lot of people are saying. I'm not sure the Hulk's confirmed yet, and we do know Zendaya and Jacob Bolton are coming back as Jacob Bolton is Ned. And Sadie Sink is there. I'm not sure if we're gonna have like it'll be the Jackal hires Punisher or what's the deal with that. Also, like, is the Punisher from the show, would he be down for the Jackal thing? That doesn't seem correct to me. But you know, we'll see. Yeah, but interesting. Hollywood Reporter brings up that Barenthal and Tom Holland helped each other audition for their Marvel things. I didn't realize that. I think it's. I mean, Punisher has always had an association with Spider-Man, and it's also kind of like, I do think one of the things that we're into. What is this? The live action wise, it's like the what, ninth Spider-Man movie or something like that. To me, it's like, let's put Punisher in at this point. You know, it's like let's do something different. So I'm sort of down for that. Just a different thing. I guess this is 9 live action ones, plus the 2 Spider-Verse. Well, I guess that 9th one hasn't happened, so it's 10 presently. Anyway, I think it makes sense. I don't know about the Jackal thing. People keep saying that, but I don't know if we'll see how they're going to use the Punisher, but I think it's like, it makes sense. It's kind of this thing, and they're really not doing enough with the Punisher anyway. So it's like, why not have him be in a Spider-Man movie? Then you can launch a new show, or you can launch a movie, and John Barenthal's still a big guy. So, oh wait, we passed $20 because of that super chat from William Owen. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Let me do. Yeah, there has been doubts about the Running Man. Oh yeah, and Spider-Man and other movies. So it's like Civil War, those other two. Is it just those? That's like three more. Jeez, Tom Holland's been Spider-Man in a lot of movies. I think he's done the most at this point, right? But yeah, we'll see what's happening there. So Fantastic Four, the trailer. I'm for this trailer, but they have this joke where like everyone's bothering the Thing about saying it's clobbering time, and like how he's annoyed by it. And I know it's like a Marvel bit. I get it. But I'm also like, I don't know. I was a little surprised when I first saw it that there's no that it's clobbering time. Like he won't say it's clobbering time. I was like, is that going to be a bit throughout I'm sort of glad I know about it before, because had I watched the whole movie, I would have been like, wait, he doesn't. That would have like bothered me. 28 Guns, was that in the Mark Wahlberg movie? Because that's like his thing since I was a kid. I'm a little surprised. That's my only like dumb like nostalgia-y thing so far with Fantastic Four. I was a little surprised. I'm sort of used to it now, but I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad they did that before, because I think a lot of people would have. I would have complained about it. I don't know, but and I'm excited to see it. But it's I don't know. I found that to be an odd creative choice. I'm curious how it plays throughout the movie. I hope when he says it, it's like, yeah, but like, it was always cool when he said, I don't want him to be like, not want to talk about the Yancey Street Gang. I want him to go on about that shit way too much. Like, he brings that up so often. It's although I did like when he's like, that's from the cartoon. I wanted someone to be like, Thing Ring, do your thing. And he would have been like, shut the fuck up. That show sucks, dude. But I was like, I don't know. I am also curious, like, do they have a cartoon within the Thing, like the Incredibles cartoon? Because that was awesome. I love that cartoon and the commentary where Samuel Jackson's getting pissed off. Anyway, I hope they do something like that. But I would have had people say, Thing Ring, do your thing. Instead, it's clobbering time. I just like, so many things. And they like do the letters all cool and like, I don't know. And then him with a beard at the end, people are like, is that a spoiler for something else? And like, I'm curious, but we'll see what the deal is when this comes out. I was actually a little surprised by it. I was a little surprised by it. Aunt Petunia. Yeah, and Aunt Petunia. Forgot about that. I don't know. We'll see if it, what the deal is. But I was surprised. I felt a little stupid that I was like, whoa, where's my clobbering time? Where's my clobbering time in the Fantastic Four? I was a little surprised by that. But we'll see. So, this is not a great transition, but I was told by the Discord. Butch Hartman is back with an actual movie that's supposedly going to come out. It's called The Greatest Thing Ever, a garden cartoon movie across digital platforms and DVD on July 1st. It is one of his faith-based things, because that's how he is. It's a 2D movie. Follows Lucy and Lenny as they journey through the garden on a quest to find the greatest thing ever, a mysterious treasure that the boss, like that, has challenged them to discover. So I'm assuming Bruce Springsteen is on this or something. As their adventure unfolds, they gradually realize that life's most valuable treasures cannot be held in their paws. The film's premise sends these animal heroes on an imaginative journey considering the various possibilities of what the greatest thing ever might be. So it sounds like it's porn. No, I don't really know I this sounds shitty. Sounds like something Saber would make a video on. Maybe he is. I don't know if he's. But this is like. I would, like. I just. I don't know. I'm curious what part of me was like. Is it Pandora's Box? I actually watched a Danny Phantom recently about Pandora's Box. So relevant. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't know why he's doing this stuff. I do. You know what? I will say this about Butch. I was actually working on a Saber thing about Butch Hartman. I forget what happened with that. But I noticed when I listened to interviews about him, and this is, I think, the reason he's sort of weird, is so every time he talked about a story about pitching any of his shows, I think Danny Phantom is his only show that, like, what you know, when you pitch something, sometimes you have a ton of other projects, so you'll still pick something up, and like, what was that show? What do you mean? And I think it seemed like a lot of his picked up shows were never his like first choice, and it seemed like there's a bit of resentment behind that, and I kind of think that's why he's so weird about stuff. I think Danny Phantom was the only one that was his first choice that got picked up, but it seemed like almost everything else was like, the way he described it, there seemed to be a bit of resentment there, and I'm like, I wonder what that is like to have a career and like be successful, but like they were never your like first choice, and I feel like maybe that's why this is. I don't know, but that's like anytime I've looked into him, I've noticed this like thing where like he's kind of like, yeah, I mean they picked Fairly Odd Parents, and I'm making it for 10 years or something, and it just seems like he wasn't as in love with it. That's my own interpretation, but I noticed that hesitation when he talks about those things. So, whatever. I don't know. He seems to be has a lot of reluctance about his own creations, and I feel like that's probably because he tried to. That's my own theory. He didn't say that blatantly, but anyway. Here, I'm gonna put. Okay. If we get to 40, I'll do it again, or next 20 multiple or whatever. All right. Two sort of Tom Cruise-y things. Supposedly they are very much considering making a Top Gun 3. This was going to have an existential question for Maverick, and all that. I think I get wanting to make a Top Gun 3 because Top Gun 2 is so successful, or Top Gun Maverick. I just think like part of the reason Top Gun Maverick was successful is because there was such a pent-up demand over the years for that movie. I just do not see a Top Gun 3 fulfilling that as well. Supposedly they won't do it until there's a script, and I think it took them so long to make a Top Gun 2, I sort of just don't see it maybe even happening. But then also Joseph Kosinski also brought up that F1, he did the F1 movie, that he would like to do an F1 Days of Thunder kind of crossover, and says he has mentioned Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and stuff. I do not think Days of Thunder is popular enough to have a reboot. It has never been a very popular movie. It did fine, but it's not Top Gun. I just don't see Days of Thunder making a comeback. I know people have like tried, but I'm like, the public has never liked that fucking movie. It's like never really taken off. So I don't fully understand what they're thinking with that one. But I don't know. I don't actually know if I'll see F1 because I sort of don't love Brad Pitt. So I'm like not super into it. Hey, Modelo Butterfly with the $1. I love the Modelo Butterfly $1 super chat. If you ever have a question, let me know. But cheers to you, Modelo Butterfly. And Nintendo folks said Days of Thunder killed the 80s movie. Is that? I've heard that theory before because it costs so much. And I actually think my own thing about that is I think what really killed the 80s movie was like the John Woo stuff, because it sort of doesn't. Well, 80s action kind of went through this weird thing because like I think Die Hard sort of killed it a bit, and then I think the John Woo stuff influence sort of killed what an 80s, so it like sort of like slowly went away. in a way. But anyway, I'm not here to do research on the history of 80s action. Anyway, those are my two Tom Cruise things. But I know in the thing that I talked about a lot was the Jorge Gutierrez has a new movie. It is a independent film. It is called La Venganza Rodriguez, I think. The synopsis of this adult animated aimed project is when tragedy strikes her wrestling family, 18-year-old okay, sorry. Let's move this here. 18-year-old Lenora Rodriguez must step into the ring to honor their legacy and avenge their defeat, armed with a burning determination, eccentric training, and a flair for the dramatic. Lenora will face outlandish rivals and her greatest nemesis in this explosive, over-the-top combat. La Venja Rodriguez. This sounds really cool. I keep hearing luchador stuff, but it doesn't say that in the thing. Thing. Apparently, he was working on a project called I Chihuahua with Netflix, which fell apart, as well as he was supposed to do the Billion Brick Race, which also fell apart, which fucking sucks because those both sounded really cool. But I'm glad he's taking things into his own hands with an independent production, because I don't want him to just be kind of stuck in development hell at various studios, because I know Netflix has killed other creators' animated things and stuff like that, and since he has two major projects, I totally get going independent. He says this is influenced by his love letter to Tijuana, 80s mexploitation, it's 80s mexploitation, border cinema, lucha libre, Picasso, Basquiat, and fighting video games. This sounds fucking awesome. I would love for him to do an adult thing. I liked Maya and the Three. I don't know if we finished that. I remember we watched a lot of it. And Book of Life, and also I don't know his stuff as much before then. But I hope it works out. He also has various people, a pretty good concept artist and art director, Alamo Redondo, who worked on Wolfwalkers and Star Wars Visions. And I don't know. It sounds like a cool idea. I hope it works out for him. And I think more animators should do the indie route, because animation is expensive and hard, and it's very hard to do an independent movie in general. But thanks, Gisriel. I do think the opportunity is there, and you look at Glitch Productions is indie, and they're huge right now. So I do think there's more of a opening for independent animated stuff. It's just you have to have the money to do it. But Glitch is doing crazy right now, so I totally understand if any animator who can figure out the money aspect of it would want to do that. And I think he's a good animator to do that, especially if he's doing an original thing. I'm curious to see what Fix does for Gendy when it comes on Netflix, and I hope that opens up more avenues for Jorge Gutierrez's movie. And I know there's not really a release date, but it's cool that he announced he's doing this indie thing. And hopefully he pays the way for other people, because maybe if it does really well, or does, makes its money back at the very least, maybe more animators who have big followings will change their tune on it. I think that would be cool. Anyway, sorry I'm going. Maybe I should take my time more, because, we still got other stuff and we're good. All right. Okay, so one Star Wars thing, and then we'll move on to stuff. I'm not sure if you guys are into Star Wars news. It's sort of a thing we just bring up and talk about sometimes. But supposedly What? Why are you like that? That's not accurate at all. The Rey movie is being... Sorry. Where are we on this? Sorry. I had to move things around. The Rey movie is sort of shelved at this point, or they don't really have a release date for it, but at the same time, this isn't the only movie with her as the main character, but who knows what the deal is with that. So it's sort of this weird thing where they're definitely going to do something with Rey. What it is, no one's sure. But the Rey movie we were told about doesn't really have a release date, is being pushed back. So we'll see. I don't know. I've been watching, my wife and I've been watching Andor, and I do quite enjoy it. It's really good. I think the best, I'm still convinced now, the best Star Wars is people who are not just talking about Star Wars, which I think is Rise of Skywalker's problem. I think it's the prequel's problem, and sort of Force Awakens, but I think Force Awakens um, is the only one where that actually works. To be honest with you, it is the only time that idea worked, and I think it's the only like it's really good at it, but it's the only like never do that shit again. Like just I think that's the reason why Last Jedi works with the way it does, is because it's sort of more about anyway other stuff. But we're not here to. I don't want to go on about that, but well, I don't know. If anyone wants me to talk about my thing about Last Jedi, I think it's in my review, but I'll bring it up, I guess. There's a super chat. Yeah, how about that? Someone says go off on Last Jedi. All right, so the Dragon's Lair movie, which I was surprised had an announcement because I think we all sort of forgot that there was a Dragon's Lair movie that Ryan Reynolds is attached to still, to my understanding. But we learned that James Bobbin, who directed Muppets Most Wanted and Muppets and the Dora movie, is attached, is in talks for the job of director. I actually think, oh, sorry, Cornbread, you're right. I actually, oh, fuck, I was supposed to talk about something. I will talk about that after this, sorry. Thank you for reminding me about a Kickstarter, Embletti. I think this could be a good. If you're gonna do a Dragon's Lair movie, I think James Bobbin would be a good choice. I like him a lot as director. I don't know if he's done anything since Dora. I haven't really checked on him, but he's a good pick. I'm down for him doing a Dragon's Lair movie in my mind. So it's like that gets me more excited. I don't know if this is still gonna happen. But with Ryan Reynolds, I feel like it'll get further down the line. But we'll see. I think it would be weird to see Don Bluth stuff getting a movie, but this is like sort of okay because it's like that video game. And man, when I was a kid, it was there, but it was always like you can play it, you won't get very far, and it's expensive as shit. But it was like I sort of like the idea in the arcade. It's almost like what VR is now, where it's like you have the more prestige, more expensive video game, and that's kind of what Dragon's Lair was back in the day. I remember liking it, but my parents were like, we did the Alice sequel? Ugh, God. But yeah, I never got very far. I remember it was like, my dad was like, you can play it once, but you're gonna die. It was hard to play, like that whole, I don't know. I've wanted to review like those YouTube videos where it's all the animation together. Same with Space Ace. I watched them both once and they were cool. But yeah, Dragon's Lair movie, James Bobbin is attached right now. Okay, I almost forgot this. But Gary, the guy who I stole the Dark City DVD from, has an Indiegogo for his indie animated pilot called Starstruck. He about a musician from Earth, works as a PA for the biggest rock star in the universe. He's trying to they raise about $6,000. They're supposed to raise about, I'll actually do a social media post about this tomorrow. I want to help Gary out since I stole his Dark City DVD. But that's the link there. If you would like to donate to it, please do so. Help him make his animated pilot. I think he has 21 days to go. And I will talk about it next week, and I'll talk about it any other things, and I'll organize my shit better. And it'll be at the beginning of the show. But yes, he actually did ask me, and I would like to help indie animation and say you should go check out Gary's Indiegogo over there. All right, I owe it to him. Yeah, that's true. All right, other things. This is something that I just found was interesting. I noticed people weren't fully getting into it, and I accidentally just read it on a web, and I totally was surprised by how much I actually am happy about this quote, which is not a quote you think I would be happy about. Danny Boyle said he couldn't make Slumdog Millionaire today. And at first you're like, oh boy, he's going to say because of the woke. But he doesn't actually do that. And I want to give him credit for actually saying this the right way for once in everyone's fucking life. He said, yeah, we wouldn't be able to make that now. And that's how it should be. It's time to reflect on all that. We have to look at the cultural baggage we carry and the mark we've left on the world. Well, only in the sense that at the time it felt radical. We made the decision that only a handful of us would go to Mumbai. We'd work with a big Indian crew and try to make a film within the culture. But we're still an outsider. It's still a flawed method. That kind of cultural appropriation might be sanctioned at certain times, but at other times it cannot be. You wouldn't even contemplate doing something like that today. It wouldn't even get financed, even if I was involved. You'd be looking for a young Indian filmmaker to make it. He said he's still proud of the film, and I don't think there's any problem with that. But it's actually cool. He was open to talking about it, and in other parts he talked about how there's certain colonizer things that are just like, in the whole situation of the film and things like that. And it sounded like he was less like, saying something dumb like the woke won't let me do that anymore. He's more saying like, maybe we shouldn't have done that. We did do it. I'm proud of it, but it probably shouldn't happen, and it probably wouldn't get made today, and that's fine. And I actually appreciated how he was sort of reasonable about it and not like a total dick. Like you weren't like, oh Jesus, I wish you hadn't said that. But if I saw those headlines too, and for some reason I clicked on it and I wasn't. I thought it was. Also, I noticed in all this, I've seen a few interviews with him, and anytime he's asked like, what do you think is like your best film or something, he's always like, it's Train Spotting. Like most people think it's Train Spotting. And he mentions a few others, but he's always like, it's Train Spotting. And I've very rarely heard a director be that honest about himself. He seems self-aware in like the correct way, not in the usual way. You know what I mean? I don't know. I thought that was cool. Like, it seems like he doesn't totally suck as a person. So that was kind of rarity sometimes when you hear people talk about their older films. So I'll give it to him. I thought that was nice, but it's just like you usually don't see that where he's like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that. We tried, but it didn't work. But, it's cool. I still like it. But I agree with him. I don't know. He's an interesting guy. Watching 28 Days Later and thinking on him, I was like, I think we sort of forget him because he takes breaks, and also he made Yesterday, which was not very good. All right, so let's talk about the whole Batman 2 script thing. First off, so many movie people get so upset. They're like, I'm not fanning the flames of the Matt Reeves James Gunn feud thing, which I talked about on here that I find a totally dumb feud because there's no evidence, and everyone's like, oh, James Gunn must be pissed. I'm like, or he has a ton of other DC shit to do, and like it's like, I don't know, I'll get around to it, man. Like, I just think like people get so weird about Batman, I fucking hate it. But supposedly the Batman 2 script was supposed to be delivered this past Monday. I don't know if it was. There is supposed to be oh, hello Sinan, how are you doing? There's supposed to be some health thing going on with him, which I have not looked into. Supposedly there's something, I don't know. However, this is one thing that I think is interesting. Supposedly why we got so much speculation about like maybe Pattinson's not Batman, maybe he is, maybe there'll be two Batman, is because Warner's was taking meetings on what the fuck do we do, where the fuck is the script. But people have pointed out that if there are meetings about Batman, James Gunn, despite his thing like, oh, no one's pressuring me or something, he would definitely be in those meetings. And he is not really, despite being way too open with the press on something, is not really brought that up. But apparently the reason there were all this speculation and rumors about like, oh, we're doing this with Batman, Pattinson's going to meet James Corden Sweats, Superman, all this stuff, that is all because of that script delay. So that is why that happened and so forth. It is getting late. I guess we're not doing I don't know. When you start late, it throws my timing off. But the other thing, and this should be brought up, no one has seen this script at all. So any villain rumors are just rumors. No one knows what the script is. No one knows who the villain is. So anything you read that is about Batman 2 is going to have this villain. They do not know what the fuck they're talking about because nobody has the script yet. So if we read that the script has been delivered and then they're villain rumors, I'll believe it a little bit more. But almost every Hollywood insider-y person has also mentioned that there are no... you should stop the rumors about the villains because apparently even people in Warriors are like, we don't fucking know. Like, leave us alone. So, anyway. All right. 24-hour stream. Let's go. I don't know about all that. Well, I guess we have like 30 minutes. Where are we on this? Okay. I think we're okay because we got questions too, which I haven't looked at all. So I'm kind of curious. So there was this report about movie theaters that theater owners feel like we have about 20 years left for theaters in general as a business. Revenue has not recovered since COVID, which is sort of what we've been hearing. And they also want theatrical windows to be longer, which has not really been shown to be true, other than Sinners and Minecraft and a few exceptions. So, like, I do think they're going to become more niche. I also think theater's gotten way too expensive, and I understand they have to because of what's happening with they need to make money. But, like, you know, I think I've mentioned here before that, like, I have the Regal Unlimited, and I often just use my points to get free sodas and stuff. And the last couple of times, you know, when it's like eventually it scans my thing and it says you have no money, it's like $9 for a small soda. And that's like, whoa, way too much. Like, what are we doing here? And I know that they're like trying to do more cheap days and trying to get people in, but like, I don't know. I do think like we're going to see probably more theater closures in the next 10, 20 years. It'll probably become a little more niche, but I am surprised no one, like, I know Netflix is opening a theater and they own a theater in New York. And like, I think theaters like that, because people do like to see older stuff. And I think also like Disney should get a little more in on that. I think there's still a place for theaters. It's just like, it's expensive and it's really not coming down in price. And I think that's like a bigger issue than the theaters and the studios are dealing with. But I'm also surprised none of them have bought a theater chain. It kind of feels like they're going to let it die for streaming, and I don't think, if that is the case, they need to figure out how to actually advertise shit for streaming, which they have not really done. It's just very reliant on word of mouth, which can work out. Like Andor hit the top of the streaming charts because of word of mouth. Stranger Things, Squid Games, all the big streaming hits. But, like, they really need to figure that out if they plan to just let theaters go kablooey, because that is not going to... Anyway, but to me, like, I agree with Jordan Slavo. It is sad and stuff, but I think... I mean, we'll see what... the theater I go to, the Regal Essex, like, one of their screens, not a big one, I think it is the screen I saw, Teenage Kraken actually has just become a gaming theater. Like, you can go in there and game and it'll show up on the big screen and stuff. And like, that's sort of like what's happening to a lot of theaters. I mean, there's talk of like, should there be theaters where you can smoke weed in them and stuff? To be honest, I think you could just sell edibles at the concessions and people would pay the upcharge, but whatever. And also you could put that in the sodas and stuff, and it's actually pretty illegal because I don't want to get into that. But my point being is, like, there are people being more open to these things because of the loss of revenue. I think they should be open to them. They're doing the smoking thing. A lot of people said you have to figure out, like, how you're going to do that, like, so it's safe for everyone, and, like, you know, people aren't ingesting smoke who don't want to, and all that stuff. But I don't know, because some of the reaction was I read the weed thing and stuff like that. But I'm scared. I love seeing movies in theaters. I don't know. I'm probably different because at this stage of my life, like, my phone is off. I'm sitting down. I'm good. I really really happy then. I'm like, this is wonderful. I don't get to be bothered about nothing. I can just like, I'm just like, keep it going, baby. Let's just do this. I'm so into it. But I don't know. I think that sucks, but I sort of see it happening as like it's getting harder and harder. I will say, I'm assuming if you watch this channel, you see movies in theaters. If you do, sign up for one of the unlimited plans that works out for you. Either it's Regal Unlimited or AMC A-List or whatever theater chains near you. That is the best thing you can do. It saves you a lot of money. I think it's priced based on the market, from my understanding. I don't know outside of New York, but it if you see a lot of movies, it sort of works out in the end, and then you'll be like, oh well, if I see 2-3 movies, I'm getting a really good deal, and maybe you'll see more movies. So I actually think they should sell those things more, even though I've been meaning to post it on Blue Sky or whatever. But if you look at the Regal Unlimited posters, they're all from movies from like 2023, so they should update that. But I think those are great plans, and they should sell them. They should also make family plans of those, couple plans. They should open those up a little more. I think there are things they could be doing. I do not want theaters to go away, but it does feel like there's a lot of people who do not come back, and they need to figure out a way to do it. But I mean, I don't know. Also, like, the recliners now are really great. I actually like going to the movies a lot. I need to do that. I need to do a Megan 2 28 years later double feature. I don't know. Megan 2 looks dumb, but like the right kind of dumb for me. All right, this is the trailer section, and we're just going to go through a bunch of trailers. First off, I saw the Amy Bradley is Missing. It's like a Netflix thing. I've heard about this mystery so many times. I'm sure this will be like Dateline NBC level of content, but I was like, that could be fun, so whatever. The another Weapons trailer. Weapons looks like a really great, awesome, crazy horror movie. I am super down for this movie. I'm very excited for that. I might actually finally put out a review of Barbarian with that, because I really like that. I will get to Roofman, don't worry. The Begonia trailer for Yorgos Lanthimos' latest. It looks like it's basically like Emma Stone is this like tech billionaire or something, rich lady. Let's say rich lady. I didn't give you that much info. And then what's his face? What's his ass? Comes and him and a friend come and kidnap her. And it looks like sort of a wealth thing. I was like, this is interesting. It looks like more of a breakout for Yorgos Lanthimos. I was like kind of into this idea and concept. I think it was really cool. Isn't it Jesse Plemons? I think it would be really cool. I feel like both these trailers I've heard, but I'll talk about Roofman since I've heard a lot of requests. Yes, I saw the Roofman trailer. It looked like a fun concept with Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst. Where he is like this criminal who hides for months in a Toys R Us, which I believe was a true story. It does look like a fun movie for like Channing Tatum and a good star vehicle and stuff, and it's like a fun concept. I'm curious, like I was like, is this like one of those that looks fun and then you see it and it's out in like September and then nobody cares after it comes out kind of thing? Or is it like a really good star vehicle? And I'm like, not sure. I think Channing sort of needs that. Even though he had that hit with Sandra Bullock, was that a couple years ago? I kind of think it would be good for him. So, if anyone wants to do a super chat, my energy is Meth Damon. Nice. Going a little down. But also we guess have 20 minutes, something like that. Anyway, I should take a break soon. The Guns Up trailer. I didn't know about this, but the Discord told me about it. Kevin James as John Wick, and his wife is Christina Ricci. I am very down for this movie. If Blacksea is still here, please chime in. You should be seeing this trailer right now, Blacksea Excellent. But Kevin James is John Wick. I know Kevin James tried to do the thing with the oh yeah, it's the Place Behind the Pines guy did that was interesting. I was surprised he's doing Roofman, but good for him. He's doing a thing. But yeah, Guns Up looks a lot of fun. It looks like a fun have a cold beer on a Friday night kind of movie. If they're, I also think Kevin James, like, he did do a solid Die Hard in the movie, so it's like he is the kind of right lead for this if he can nail it. Some of the shots in the trailer weren't amazing or anything, but I was like, it has potential. It has potential. Let's just say that. All right. What do we have going on here? Sorry if this is... We're down to the last little bit. Let's just power through, and then we'll take the break before the questions. I feel like we're going to be maybe till 1 or something. I thought, in my head, I was like, this will be a short show, and it's not. Okay. There's a lot of talk about a Bratz movie. I don't know why, and Kim Kardashian is eyed to star in this. And supposedly Charlie Pollinger and Lucy McKendrick are writing the script, but that deal's not closed. Kim Kardashian is eyed to play the villain in this movie no one's wrote. Okay. And then I think they keep acting like the Pollinger guy is going to direct, even though that is not in any of this about being signed for, but I'm assuming that's like one of those we're hinting at movie news things. And now I see, I didn't realize Lena Dunham said no to the Polly Pocket. Did we talk about that? Anyway, whatever. Supposedly there's going to be a Bratz movie. We'll see if this really would happen, as there's no director attached, but it does have enough attached that sounds like they're probably going to work on it. So we'll see. I'm surprised this is like not as far as it is. Yeah, there you are. I'm surprised this isn't as far, like 2 years out from Barbie. Seems like they waited too long, but whatever. So you've probably heard some stuff about, and I just wanted to bring this up to kind of clarify some things about it. Mr. Johnny Depp talking about, how he was, the test case for the Me Too movement, and like or the crash test dummy or something, he wants to come back, and Hollywood's evil, and he likes Europe more and everything. And then in hearing about that, I didn't realize his next movie is directed by Mark Webb from those Spider-Man movies, and then Penelope Cruz is in it with him. It's called Day Drinker from Lionsgate. It doesn't have a U.S. release date yet, but apparently will. He is trying to get a comeback. My thing with like any of these people, like Will Smith as well, work with like weird directors and like do something strange, because those kind of things live on. Like even like Drake, for example, like I would, if I was those guys, I would just like, look, you have all the money, you have more money than I will ever have in my entire life. Like just like do weird stuff, because people will talk about that in 20 years and write essays on it and all that stuff. Nobody's going to care if you do, subpar average shit that no one's going to give a fuck about. And that's like what these guys always do. And like, to me, it's like, you should be calling the Skinamarink guy and like the weird directors who, need you more than they need them. And they're never smart enough to do that. I don't really understand. He used to be a lot better at that, and he's really fallen off. I don't know. Way before this, I've talked about I don't love Mr. Johnny Depp too much, but this is like, when I'm reading about it, I'm just like, dude, you're not going to be a huge star anymore. I know Jerry Bruckheimer keeps acting like he's going to bring him back for Jack Sparrow, but to me, it's like, I don't know. He's going to sort of come back with this Mark Webb thing. I do not know why I don't get Mark Webb as a director, so I'm not the biggest fan. Although he did help make Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I guess I like that. So that's a thing. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about, I'm sorry it's so late, everyone, the Blade stuff. So supposedly Mahershala Ali is optimistic, but said, Marvel, call me when I'm ready, which is okay. And then David S. Goyer supposedly was at the premiere of Jurassic World or something, and said he offered his services because he's like, why is this taking so long? Even though he directed Blade Trinity, which no one really likes, but they said they had cracked it. Most industry people are like, do think it will happen at this point, and that they've heard the Jurassic World thing is going to the press. They're sort of trying to calm things down. But there's no real movement on it, but they are claiming they've cracked the script or whatever. I don't know why this is taking them so long, and there's no real. Is there a release date at this point? It's just like such a dumb thing. I don't fucking get it. Like, just like, to me, if it was me, I would get the guy who directed Vampires vs. the Bronx. I would get that. He's like perfect for that kind of thing. You get him to do it. You know, you get Mia Goth back. You make the Blade movie and just like move on already. Like, start this fucking franchise. I don't know. I don't mind David Esquire being like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" I don't mind. I don't mind him calling Marvel out for that. To be honest. All right. So the last couple. Are we on the last couple things? Okay. This is like the last couple things. Sorry. I hope the show's good tonight. I'm always paranoid. Okay. So, I agree, Jordan Slav. No, Keanu Reeves will do an interesting thing. I mean, look at like My Own Private Idaho. Like, he has a history of it. I'm just saying, like, if you notice, like, I think if you're a smarter actor, you kind of go between and do different. I think Anthony Mackie was talking about this in an interview. He's like, you need to diversify, and it seems like a lot of people don't want to do that, and that's what, you know. I agree. Marshall Ali can like do better. I think he wants to do it, and I think Marvel is like, okay, we have to do it with him at this point. But like, I don't know. I almost want to make a video about like how Marvel fucked up since Endgame, and that is like one of the things, because I'm like, how did you like, you know what, I'm gonna say this, I think Blade would have done better in that release date than Thunderbolts. I mean, I don't think that's a lot. I don't know, tell me if you disagree with that, but I honestly think yeah, Blade would have done better even after Sinners, especially after Sinners. There was enough time that it would have been fine. People would have been down for it anyway. So what's the deal with the Social Network 2? What's going on with that? So what you probably read in the headline, and I want to talk about this one because nobody is really correctly reporting this, and it kind of annoys me. So they're supposedly, Aaron Sorkin has written a script has written a script for the Social Network 2 and is planning on directing it. Now, obviously, everyone's like, you can't do that without Fincher. I agree. I think Fincher was good at not letting Sorkin's ego get too crazy. I think most of Sorkin's stuff lets his ego get too crazy. But this is not actually the Social Network 2, like, in the way that you think it is. It's more about Facebook's role in our politics and January 6th specifically. And supposedly, like, Zuckerberg would not be like the main character necessarily, and it'll be sort of a different thing. Why even call it Social Network 2? I don't, because there was another one and brand recognition. There's really not a good reason, but it is sort of like a different story within Facebook, not necessarily a straight up Social Network 2. We do not know if Eisenberg is back, Jesse Eisenberg is going to come back, or anything like that. To me, it's like, it's fine being another Facebook movie. It'd be interesting, it connects and so forth, but I don't know. I also do think, like, Sorkin works best with, like, didn't he write that movie, the Steve Jobs movie with Danny Boyle and stuff? Like, I think he works better with another director. I think he needs to stop with the directing. Is anyone really that into him as a director? I don't think so. But I just think it's like, it is interesting that it's not a direct sequel. I don't think people realize that. So, okay. The Duke Nukem rights, I guess animation rights, film rights thing, were acquired by the Devil May Cry and Castlevania showrunner, Adi Shankar. And he's going to be working on Duke Nukem. It says he has the screen rights, but he doesn't have the gaming rights. But he wants to work with them and work on this. I think that'd be a good idea. Everyone likes Duke Nukem, I think. I remember it. So I don't have much to say other than, like, yeah, okay. I don't know Devil May Cry that well, and I don't know Castlevania that well either, but I think it's going to be cool. Street Fighter casting. Now, this was kind of a weird story because they sort of, I think even people in the chat noticed, or in the Discord noticed this. So 50 Cent was cast in Street Fighter. But then it also says the call sheet ranges from A-lister Jason Momoa as Blanca and heartthrob Noah Centineo as Ken to gay country singer Orville Peck as Vega. This is the first we've heard about these being people being cast. Why they buried this in an article about 50 Cent being cast, I don't know. And as well as they mentioned that there's a martial artist as Akama, and then Chelina Lang from Soderbergh's Presence playing Chung Li. I can sort of see that. I'm surprised. I didn't know she was going for stuff like that. But yeah, 50 Cent will play Balrog, a disgraced boxer who is also the bodyguard of the villain. I mean, 50 Cent's pretty ripped. I don't know if I know he's bigger than he used to be, but maybe he'll get in shape again. So I wouldn't mind if Formula 50 came back from Vitamin Water. I always like that. But good for 50 Cent. And then the final thing, this is an interesting, weird thing that happened. So the Tiny Chef, who is a chef that is this thing that I've never watched it. I know about the ad where he's saying like banana bread and all that stuff, and people like that. But my kids we know the ad really well, but we've never watched it. But he released a video, apparently it was canceled by Nickelodeon. And so they released a video of the Tiny Chef like getting the news and looking sad, and then another video of him playing the ukulele and then saying he's going to be okay and stuff, and to watch the socials for the Tiny Chef. I don't think this show, like, I know more people who know the thanks computer, the ad than know the actual like show. So I'm not really surprised. I know like Nickelodeon really promoted the fuck out of that thing. Like regardless of how you feel about the show, like I can attest, like I saw those ads a lot and we chose not to watch it. But I but I do find it interesting, like the only time I've seen an animated character like with animation come out with that is interesting. It's like interesting to do it that way. I'm curious like what their game plan was with that. But I've heard more about the Tiny Chef in the past 24 hours than I have heard any other time. But it did win won their second ever Emmy. Oh, okay. I mean, good for the show. I just don't think it really caught on the way like their Ninja Turtles show or SpongeBob or their other stuff. I just didn't think it but it was an interesting way to do that, I will say. But R.I.P. to you, Tiny Chef. I hope you go somewhere, and I hope someone actually watched you. I do think they did that banana bread ad too many times. Like, it's funny, he says, banana bread? I can't do it, but it was whatever. All right, need to use the bathroom. Then we'll come back and do questions. If you want to do a super chat while I'm on break or anything like that, it would be or if you want to do it before the end of the show, now is your time. I probably should have said that when I came back from break. Maybe I will. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to take a break to use the bathroom and stuff. Then we'll do questions, and then we'll end the show. Thank you very much for being here. Sorry it's so late, and I will be right back, and we'll finish things up. All right, no segment tonight. Just a bunch of news and this, and we still... Where are we? Oh, we haven't gone over yet. Okay, anyway, I'll be right back. See you soon. Okay, hello. Welcome back. I realize I did not talk about um since I didn't talk about recent videos, I forgot to mention I did release music recent or a video of the background music. It was sort of like the first experiment with it. I will be putting out more of that I guess in the future. Because I don't know, I think I'm proud of my music and I wanted to actually give it a release. I know people have been asking me to do that for forever. I'm probably going to do other ones soon, and I'm not going to call them compilations because they're not really compilations. This compilation sort of insinuates like you've seen it before, but you didn't get to listen to it like that. So anyway, it'll just be like volume 1, volume 2. But there's another one I have ready for later in July when I'm away and stuff. But yeah, if you ever wanted to, and it took a minute to do all the time stamps and all that shit. But yeah, they're yeah. I thought you were talking. Oh no, not Sia's music. I don't know about that. But yeah, I don't know. I was happy. It was kind of a big accomplishment to finally do it, as well as like the Pixar ranking thing was, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, and I'm not sure what's gonna come out tomorrow, but I have some other ideas and all that stuff. But well, Lo-Fi beats so much Paul Blart too. But I guess that was the bigger thing, and I think throwbacks I know one is my Megan sequel short I made, which was my sequel idea, which is not the sequel they ended up making, obviously. And then the other one is, I think, Two Doors to Nicole. Was it Two Doors Nicole? Anyway, this like French Canadian movie, sort of about like a slow summer in a slow college summer in the suburbs of French Canada, which I was like that, and I was like, I like it. I don't mind bringing it back. All right, I'm going to write questions below. This is all going to be questions. If you want to do a super chat, this is your last time. I'm sorry to ask so many times, but I am a poor person. So, all right, let's do the 3 questions. From the Patreon, you get the Patreon questions first, obviously. Nathaniel Foga asks, what comic book characters would you like to see be in a movie together? That's a good one. I wouldn't mind Spider-Man and Human Torch. I wouldn't mind. I'll give you like 2 more if I can think of them. I guess maybe Captain America and Wolverine in World War II. That would be cool. And because I think they did that sort of, or like I remember all the Captain America, all the Captain America like what's it, Wolverine things. I think maybe like Daredevil and Spider-Man. I'll say it that way. I hope that was good enough. All right, Sinram asks, Derek Clenfrance's new film Roofman, a caper comedy. I did not expect this from the director of Blue Valentine. What's next? A Jason Bourne movie from Wes Anderson. What would be an extreme left turn by a director that would surprise the hell out of you? I mean, Paul King as Bond would be one of them. I'm also wondering with that is what is Paul King's idea of an action movie? That would be interesting. I wouldn't mind a very small indie movie from Del Toro, and I wouldn't mind a big blockbuster from Karan because he doesn't really do that very often. Trying to think who else. A comedy from John Carpenter. Well, he's sort of done that, John Carpenter. Maybe a horror movie, a straight slasher movie from Robert Eggers. I think that would be interesting. I'm going to throw that in there. Austin says, "Hey Jim, what a great show. Needed a bit more Mamma Mia 3 but dashed in. I guess so. My question is, do you think Steven Spielberg would have a shot of directing the new James Bond? Do you think back the 70s, 80s he would have made a good James Bond film?" I'm curious if they even went out for him. I didn't hear him discussed. I still think he would make a good Bond movie because he made, some good Indiana Jones and Tintin. Um, I think in the 70s, 80s, he would have killed it. I think that was one of their big mistakes is not utilizing him when they can because they didn't really go modern on those movies back then. They kind of went kind of old school. So I think they really needed to. They should have used him. It's kind of like him with that, and then I know he tried to do Superman the movie, and then Jaws happened, and he didn't want to do Superman the movie, and he's been up for Star Wars. He's tried to make some of these, and I do think like a Spielberg Star Wars or a Spielberg Bond or something. I think he would kill it. I think he's a very good studio director. He would do an amazing job. So I think it would have been a great James Bond movie, probably. Cornbread question: Disney sabotage Elio. I never believed devaluing Pixar theory, but isn't it sticking it between Stitch and FF? Disney just half-heartedly dumping the film they wanted out. March 2024 is still plausible. Just I think it's sort of they should have had it. Oh, like they moved it to fuck with Pixar. I guess that's what you're saying. I don't know if it's fucking with it. I just think they thought. I think they thought that release date was going to work out more than it actually did, and they should have seen that coming. That's really what I think. On that one, Zane Powers, are there any actors you dislike because of reports they're difficult to work with, or is that not your problem? Jared Leto, I don't really like him. Also, he gets to Mars too fast, like 30 seconds. Like, take your time. Emblity, how many men could fit on a roof? Depends on the roof, but like, let's say 10. Black Sox Oinkle, what other genre should Kevin James dominate? I guess horror. What was that movie he was in that was in drive-ins only during the pandemic? Maybe that one. Zane Powers, I've seen what you've been posting these past few days, and I only have one thing to say to you. How could you betray Bill Clinton? I'm so sorry, Bill. All right. Wait, where are we? Okay. What villain should Kevin James play in the MCU Black Says? I guess he could play Rhino? Actually, yeah, he could. Austin, when the K-pop demon hunter, because I bet Nintendo will dislike it and not review it. I think he saw it in sorry. I thought he saw he posted he saw it in theaters, so I think he did like it actually. I'm not sure if he's gonna review it, but I know it seemed like he liked it to me. Zane Powers, did you hear about the always respectable Deadline doing an article saying Elio will be the death of original animation and that we should blame audiences, not executives? Okay, no, I didn't see that, but that's embarrassing. It's not true. Thing is, like, of the original animated films in the 2020s, I think Bad Guys is the only one who's gotten a sequel and has really launched successfully. So I just think it's like a hard market as well. I didn't mention that, but it's a tough market for original movies. Like Sinners is more an outlier than anything, and it's hard for original films nowadays. So I think that's part of it. Look at the box office for Inside Out 2 versus the box office for Elio. There's a huge difference. I understand there's brand recognition, but like people really rely on that nowadays. So, question: you hear about when Chikwa passes his wedding test, Salty will review Alf. Okay, I don't know what that means, but I hope he does. I heard that there's a Alf joke in Elio, or a reference to Melmac. Bloxy, is there a video game you're really fascinated by but would prefer to see it as a TV show or movie like Pac-Man or Bonk? I don't... Metroid, I guess. I don't know much about those, so I can't really say. Cornbread, with Moana 2 and Lilo and Stitch both being cheap Disney plus flops, should all Disney films be made for streaming, pushed to theaters forever? Maybe. I don't know. I'm confused how Disney views streaming, because didn't supposedly Tony Gilroy said that they thought streaming was dead or something, and I'm like, well, what? Why'd you make everyone do all that stuff then? Did you take that Kevin James John Wick's movie? Sorry, been in and out. Yes, we did talk about that. Pup asks, Elemental got a boost in the box office through word of mouth. Do you think it's likely we'll see something similar to Elio? It's possible, but I don't think it'll rise to the same level because like it's just not the same market because there's just so many competing things for families. So I don't see it really hitting as well. Embla T, there is progress for the Highlander reboot. Is the end near? It does feel that way because they've been talking about that forever. Zane Powers, what's a masterpiece movie you think would have been better from the original drafts? I don't know. Masterpiece movie would have been better with the original drafts. I can't think of one off the top of my head. This is a good question, though. Zane Power said, if you had the chance to prevent all the horrible production and mistreatment going on during the Wizard of Oz, even if it meant we never got that movie, would you do it? Ooh. I almost want to say pass because that's a tough one. I don't know. Because Wizard of Oz is like the greatest movie ever, but I also don't like people being treated like shit, so it's sort of I'd probably say pass on that one. Listen to any good music lately? I have actually. Today was listening to Carly Rae Jepsen's Emotion, which turned 10 years recently. And I listened to some MF Doom because just because of that remix and stuff. So, where are we? Okay, sorry. Follow up to my initial question about Elio. I tried my best to specifically say not to fuck with Pixar. I more mean Elio had a messy production and they just wanted to push it out ASAP. I've heard that theory too. I kind of think, yeah, they're a little too, like, they're not really into pushing things back, and I think they were like, let's just get this over with. But I thought that was sort of dumb, to be honest. Embla T thought someone was on playing the God Word, where a dude who will torment and execute him multiple times in future installments. Really? Is that what happens? Sheesh. Not plausible. How about Kevin James in a Birdman-esque role with him coming to terms with Paul Blart? I like that. What do you do to fall asleep? I can fall asleep. I can fall asleep right now. It's not. Yeah. Austin said, I meant, when will you review K-pop Demon Hunters? I need to watch it. I've watched a couple things that I need to review, and then I'll probably start hopefully soon. But my plan is to watch it and review it. So that is a plan that I am planning on. Embla T, Die My Love is being marketed as Hunger Games meets Twilight in my country. What do you think their demographic will react to the actual movie by this? I've not heard that about that movie at all, so I don't know if the demographics are there for it. Like, those aren't two things that mean anything to kids nowadays. So I don't know. Don't you know it's unhygienic to squeeze into your hand? Do you? I mean, sorry. Next time I'll sneeze at the camera. Zane Powers, if they made a movie where they cash in on the brand recognition of brand flakes, what would happen? I guess people would see it. Question: have you seen The Life of Chuck? And if so, are you planning on reviewing it? No, I'm not planning on doing that. It's just I'm not into the motivational movie thing, to be honest. Cornbread, well, obviously hitting Disney Plus Christmas season blew it up way more. Would you still say Encanto's $246 million is a weak theatrical release for a mid-COVID family release? I mean, it's not. It's good, but it's not amazing, especially for how much it costs. I mean, that's not a phenomenon kind of thing, So, happy anniversary to who? Oh, to Carly Rae Jepsen. Okay, sorry. Do you still have that Lana Del Rey record? Do I? I don't think I do. I don't think we have one. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. Zane Powers, gritty Rob Schneider action or suspense when? Like how his buddies Kevin James and Adam Sandler. I don't think he's versatile enough for that. I think Embla teases the last one. Are you more into the long walk thing though? I am into. The long walk looks really cool. I'm excited for that. All right, I think that is it for the questions. I want to say thank you. Where are we? Okay. No, that's not okay. I want to give a thank you to anyone who gave a super chat. Those would be Bloxy Oxenwinkle. I guess not the first one, the other Bloxy Oxenwinkle one. William Elman, Austin, and Medela Butterfly. Thank you very much for your super chats. Cheers to you. Cheers to you all who gave some. And I think it was a good show. I'm not sure if I'm going to do Thursday or Wednesday next week. I think Thursday, even though it's July 3rd, is most likely what's going to happen. But we'll see. Stay tuned. What is the most important streaming service to have? Probably I would go Max over Max or Paramount Plus. I think Netflix is sort of a standard, but I don't use it as much. So, but I would base it on what one you use the most, not one I say the most. Because once you have Tubi and Pluto, you're good. Anyway, good night, everyone. I hope something will be out tomorrow. I don't know what it is. I appreciate you guys hanging out and being so cool. Sorry. Being a cool audience. It's been a weird week, and it's always nice hanging out with you and getting to talk movie stuff and all that stuff. I have my water here, and I should drink some. I need to go clean up some stuff. I'm sorry I'm not good at the timestamps. One day I will have the time to do them, and this is not that time. But Hulu's like, I don't know. Anyway, I have to figure out Hulu for King of the Hill. But you all have a good night. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the super chats. And I will see you all next week. Enjoy the videos in the meantime. Have a good weekend. Maybe see a movie. And I will see you all next time. All right, cool. Bye.